First, let me crank through the numbers. There's a total of 60,108 manifested seats at the new Highmark Stadium. 1,755 have been set aside for suite seats, and 3,725 have been set aside for visiting teams as well as community and marketing purposes. Add all those up and subtract from the total number of seats and you get 54,628. That's the total number of PSLs available at the new stadium. And as of September 30th, the Bills have sold, drumroll please, 48,620.
I'm not surprised in terms of the percentage sold because you have the I need to be there factor, the novelty, whatever you want to call it.
Bills insider Vic Carucci says it's a testament to the popularity of the team.
A lot of people, and this is anecdotal from my end, just say they have to be a part of this.
Even if those PSL prices have been a surprise to fans, the math doesn't lie. They're paying it.
It's a really good investment because of the potential to resell tickets to others, using Ticketmaster and making back that money that was poured into PSLs.
And the secondary market might be the only place fans can easily buy a seat for a single game at the new stadium. The Bills want to sell all 54,000 PSLs, and they haven't released details about any single game seats or even standing ticket options. Over the course of the last several days, Two on Your Side reached out to Bills officials to try and ask questions about single game ticket plans at the new stadium. No one from the organization responded to our questions or even acknowledged our requests. NFL advisor and industry expert Mark Gannis says there will be high demand for games on the secondary market, and the reality is most tickets for NFL games are already purchased there.
90+% of all NFL tickets are sold via season tickets, whether they have PSLs or not. And so the way fans generally are able to buy individual game tickets are to go to the secondary ticket sites and buy tickets for that particular game.
Gannis says patience will be the key, possibly for the next couple of years, as demand for tickets to the new stadium will be high for a bit.
And the pricing will come down. It's the standard pattern in the NFL.
On Your Side, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.
Just say CBA to State Senator April Baskin.
And the way that the Bills fans can win off the field is through a really good community benefits agreement coming to reality.
She's all in.
Are the Bills abiding by the community benefits agreement? Yes, they are. They are doing some of the initiatives that are outlined in the agreement. Are they doing them in a way? Is it being implemented in a way that is going to empower the youth and the families across Erie County to have the best quality of life that they could have in exchange for what the Bills took from them in order to build the stadium? That is left up to question, and that is where we will continue to apply pressure.
The CBA obligates the Bills to make specific investments in the community, from youth administrative sports careers, mentoring, to
making sure that there are post-construction requirements in terms of having small businesses be vendors, concessionaires, people to do the landscaping.
Right now,
I do believe that a lot of the concrete targets that are in the community benefits agreement are struggling to find a pathway and a clear plan to reach success.
The agreement ensures the team returns to the community, since over $800 million in public funds was used to build this new stadium. Baskin recently traveled to New York City to see what's happening with Barclays Center in Brooklyn and the proposed sports complex in Queens being led by the owner of the Mets.
Both stadiums are implementing a lot of the things that are in our community benefits agreement,
including utilizing small businesses.
A smaller mom and pop restaurant from Brooklyn can go and have their own stand.
The Bills CBA says 30% of the concessionaires in the new stadium have to be minority, women businesses, or service-disabled businesses from Western New York. Baskin then met with Bills officials.
I came away with understanding that there is room to discuss these plans, and I'm excited about that.
An oversight committee allows the public to have a voice.
Do you believe that if you weren't keeping your foot on the gas here, that this would just kind of lay low?
I think that we need to keep our foot on the gas because that's what you do in any good business deal.
On Your Side, Claudine Ewing, Channel 2 News.
On Buffalo's east side, block after block of empty land tells the same story. Years of disinvestment, demolished homes, and neighborhoods waiting for something to fill the gaps. Buffalo Common Council Majority Leader Leah Halton Pope says these gaps have gone on for way too long.
If there's 7,200 vacant lots in the city of Buffalo, 5,700 are in my district. And so that's a lot. So this is really important to me.
The city just approved a new homestead plan. Many city-owned lots will be sold for as little as $1,000. Buffalo owns about 6,000 vacant lots, with the highest concentration right here on the east side. The city says these empty lots become dumping grounds and drag down surrounding home values. The updated plan creates a path for new construction, side yard purchases, renovating abandoned buildings, and stewardship where nonprofits can build community gardens or temporary spaces.
This is giving people an opportunity to purchase land. They can build, they can renovate property. They'll be able to buy side yards, a side lot, like so it's next to your house, it's not large enough to build a house on. The opportunity for stewardship, so nonprofits who say you want to do a community garden, etc.
Buyers will have 2 years to build or rehab a property, a rule meant to prevent the lots from sitting vacant, and they must be current on taxes, water bills, and fees before applying.
This is not going to be a free-for-all, and it's making sure that we put priority, of course, to City of Buffalo residents, community people. That matters to me.
For organizations like Habitat for Humanity Buffalo, the price drop could be a game changer.
It's a huge thing for us because we are in the business of trying to build affordable housing. We lose money on every house that we build, so anything that can be done to help us be able to get properties at a cheaper rate makes it easier for us to be able to complete our mission.
Habitat says cheaper access to land means they can add more homes and add stability to blocks that have sat empty for years.
We have a lot of new studies coming in that are working on actually mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease, which is very exciting. This is a population that's not normally hit.
Nicholas Audino and Rachel Salvaggio at the Alzheimer's Disease and Memory Disorders Center want to help people have meaningful conversations about Alzheimer's and memory care. As the clinical research coordinator, Audino is getting the word out about 3 studies they're enrolling people in.
2 of them are for mild to moderate Alzheimer's disease. We're looking for people between the ages of 55 and 85. These people do have to have an Alzheimer's diagnosis, and they do have to have a loved one that is interested in at least discussing what's going on at home. And then we also have an Alzheimer's disease with agitation study enrolling. We're looking for people, it's pretty broad, it's actually 50 to 90.
You have to have an Alzheimer's diagnosis for that one, too.
We never want to make somebody feel badly about what they're experiencing, and for them, they may notice some subtle changes, but may not necessarily think that it's related to a cognitive impairment such as dementia. So it's important to always be mindful of the other person's feelings when having that conversation and address it as in, let's see, I'm noticing some changes. Is it worth, or would you like me to come with you to the doctor just to see what's going on, to see whether or not there's something that we might be able to do to help?
Salvaggio says early diagnosis is really important because it allows someone to make their own decisions about their future.
To maintain dignity and independence for as long as possible. It also sometimes entitles them the opportunity to participate in clinical trials that they may otherwise not have been eligible for, depending on the stage in which they come in.
There's an old saying that every good story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning for what became George & Company was downtown in 1901.
Basically, it was Buffalo Novelty Bazaar. My grandfather came in from Yugoslavia, worked there, then he bought the business from the owner in 1915, and then he changed it to George & Company.
The middle was full of innovations and successes through successive generations.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have the LCR game. It's all over the country. We specialize in Halloween. My dad was the first one doing Halloween costumes and things, so we were very big. Yeah. We had multiple locations.
And of course the gag gifts and the novelty teas of icons of the past, of which this place will soon be one. That's where the end of this tale begins. Was it a difficult decision when it came right down to making it?
Oh yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
The end for George & Company as a brick and mortars retail store, they figure, will be no later than the end of this year. But the latest generation of the family looks at this end as just a new beginning.
You know, it's just a shift that a lot of businesses are doing these days. You have to adapt in business, and that's what we're going to do.
George & Company will continue to exist, but through online sales only.
Yeah, you know, it's not the same showing kids magic tricks and seeing their face light up and getting people their Halloween costume, but, you know, it's just going to be a change that we have to do, and we're excited for it, actually.
On your side in Williamsville, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
Hey there, good morning. The appellate division reinstated a lawsuit filed by Carr that was dismissed by a lower court. But the one thing revealed in that decision, the city has not moved forward with eminent domain against Carr like they said they would. Cobblestone District building owner Daryl Carr is taking a bit of a victory lap on Thanksgiving Eve after the Appellate Division 4th Department reversed a previously dismissed lawsuit, and now Carr and the city will go to court over his desire to tear down 110 and 118 South Park Ave.
Any victory in these battles is good.
But if you recall, the city was planning on moving ahead with trying to take the property from Carr. Back in February, city officials also took a victory lap, so to speak, when the 4th Department ruled that they could move forward with eminent domain proceedings against Carr. At the time, 9 months ago, I asked about the timeline to take those properties.
How soon could the city take control of the property?
You know, we're gonna move as quickly as we possibly can. You know, every day matters when if you take into consideration the condition of the property. So we're gonna move as quickly as we can at any speed that the courts will allow us to do so.
But an interesting nugget was revealed in a different 4th Department decision rendered last week. In their decision, the justices outlined that, quote, the city has not yet commenced a proceeding to acquire the properties. So what happened? And why did the city not continue the eminent domain process? My colleague Claudine Ewing asked the acting mayor about that Wednesday morning.
Why hasn't the city filed eminent domain paperwork yet?
We are certainly talking about it. We'll continue to do that, whether it's Cobblestone, the Buffalo Grand. We're going to use any avenue, any mechanism we have at our disposal to make sure that we can make sure that these properties are productive.
While that's not exactly a clear answer from the acting mayor, I was told more information would be provided soon. With the 4th Department's decision last week, the city and Carr will now go back to court, possibly before the Christmas holiday, to argue the lawsuit he filed after the June 2024 fire. He applied for a demolition permit after that fire because more than 50% of the buildings were destroyed, and city code says he would be able to do that. However,
And the big contention was that the building wasn't made of wood, and they kept saying it's heavy timber, it's not wood, but my 6-year-old note says timber is wood, my 5-year-old.
Carr hopes that with the lawsuit reinstated, he will be granted a demolition permit and begin development of a 50-story project he calls Unity Tower. It's something he pitched for nearly 20 years, but has been dismissed as unrealistic by city officials. On your side, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.
In past years, Thanksgiving celebratory meals like this at Buffalo's International Institute as refugees and families enjoyed and learned about a U.S. tradition. But now another proposed change in the U.S. immigration system. Reports of a November 21st White House memo calling for review of legal status and process for legal admittance of up to 200,000 refugees coming to the U.S. starting in 2021. An estimated 6,000 plus came to the Buffalo area from countries like Burma, Somalia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Colombia, Sudan, Syria, and Iraq, with previously publicized economic success stories adding to Buffalo's population.
Someone who comes as a refugee has a permanent humanitarian grant. They're supposed to, after a year, apply for their green card, and then after 5 years, apply for their U.S. citizenship if they qualify, if they speak English and can pass the test. But we give them that pathway to permanency, going after a 45-year program that has operated successfully with security. It's just cruel.
Rizzo Choi also says the legal refugees here were fully vetted by the U.S. government with interviews, background checks for terrorism or extremist links, and health exams, including vaccinations. And they are not to be confused with the asylum seekers who crossed the U.S. southern border, stirring up controversy as they were later shuttled to New York City and then hotels here in Erie County. But could that be a factor?
Are you concerned that
focus on the asylum seekers has now caused problems for the refugee program.
I am. I think there has been an intentional conflation of immigrants and these different groups and
By
putting
some politicians too, locally here.
Yeah, this program is completely different than people who are crossing the border and showing up seeking asylum. It's different than people who've asked for a temporary status because there was an earthquake in their home country.
A U.S. Homeland Security Department spokesperson says the previous Biden administration had a, quote, reckless approach, undermining the immigration system and risking public safety and national security by allowing in people from, quote, terror and gang-prone countries.
The sudden passing of Bishop T. Anthony Bronner from Elim Christian Fellowship Church has really rocked his congregation. But today, they said a fond farewell.
The moment the wife of the late pastor entered the church, to the faces of his Omega Psi Phi fraternity brothers, you could sense the sorrow of this church. The man who served as founder of Elim in Buffalo in 1999 died unexpectedly. On Saturday, November 15th, he attended a men's prayer breakfast and then went to hand out free turkeys.
We broke bread together. We had a great time.
Hours later, he got the call to receive a new kidney.
It was God's will after that.
He died. His service, a musical celebration. And a passionate farewell.
We thank God for a shepherd who walked with conviction, preached with fire, led with integrity, and loved with uncommon passion. Bishop Bronner stood as a bridge builder across denominations, cultures, and nations. His ministry has shaped cities, strengthened families, elevated leaders, and ignited spiritual renewal across the world.
While many of you know him as Bishop, I knew him as my husband. He was my partner, he was my covering, he was my closest friend.
Bishop Troy Anthony Bronner was 62 years old. On your side in Buffalo, Claudine Ewing.
We celebrate his faith, his fight, and his finish. Well done, brother. Thy good and faithful servant.
Channel 2 News.
Well, for many of us, this won't be so much remembered as a snowstorm, but for all of us, it will be remembered as a windstorm because wind is what had the most significant impact. It was more than a breeze that took down trees, like this one on Linwood Avenue in Buffalo, which ruined a car. Stiff wind snapped utility poles like this one on Beebe Road in Newfane. And if the gusts weren't enough, there were icy roads, which factored into this pole going down on Austin Street in Black Rock when a vehicle slid into it. At one point, National Grid reported 49,000 customers impacted by the storm, but by this evening, the number had dwindled to just under 300 in all of western New York.
We were ready for this. We had crews staged across western New York. We had brought crews in from outside the company. We brought some in from Syracuse.
The last of the scattered outages were the trickiest to solve in neighborhoods in Buffalo and Cheektowaga.
A lot of those poles run through the backyard. People's backyards are not out on the street. So we have to try to get equipment back there. And sometimes we have to get over fences. It's just not easy to get to sometimes.
As far as snow goes, not much to speak of in Buffalo and Hamburg, but you didn't have to travel too much farther south to find that the road to grandmother's house this Thanksgiving had become considerably more dicey.
It wouldn't be Thanksgiving if it weren't snowing in Springville, New York.
Not that Joe Stephen is a native, he was here visiting relatives. He does hail from the Adirondacks, though, which might explain his choice of attire.
I honestly don't like to put pants. I have pants of some type on. I don't want to go around my underwear, but I only wear pants when I travel on business, and I'd rather be in shorts.
And of course, he'd come out on a brutal day, shorts and all, to buy ice.
I couldn't let my mother-in-law down and not have the ice ready for the guests that are going to come, which is kind of crazy to be buying ice on a 28-degree day, but when you need it, and keep everybody happy.
You go, Joe. Happy Thanksgiving, folks. We got to blow. On your side in downtown Buffalo, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
But you want everything for the truth. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
It's been 13 years since Kimberly Watson's husband, Earl, was convicted of robbery, burglary, and assault, and sentenced to 18 years in state prison. She says her husband, Earl Watson, has tried to make the best of his time at Wendy Correctional Facility in Alden, working toward his paralegal degree despite the fact that he is legally blind in one eye.
My husband is not an idle person. That man loves to work, loves to be busy, loves to help, loves to be productive.
But when the wildcat strike in state prisons went on earlier this year, Earl Watson filed a flurry of grievances, alleging neglect, mistreatment, and the taking away of the programs he relied upon to better himself.
And once he started writing these grievances, once he started filing these complaints, once he said, I'm sending it to the Supreme Court, things started to get worse.
On November 6th, she received a panicked phone call from Earl, who said he had just been assaulted by more than a dozen corrections officers in a scene they say was reminiscent of Robert Brooks, who was beaten to death by COs in a state prison last year.
I thought of Robert Brooks, hearing my husband scream, don't kill me, please stay, they're gonna kill me. I was like, am I going to hear my husband's last words? Is my husband gonna be killed today?
In an audio recording he made for Two on Your Side, Earl Watson said he was, quote, gang assaulted after he was handcuffed coming out of the shower.
And 9 other officers came out of their office, shirts off, no cameras, on their chest, and beat me from behind, punching me, kicking me, punching me, kicking me. The security punched me in my neck and my chin.
Kimberly Watson visited her husband that weekend. He told her he was urinating blood and was being denied medical care.
His neck was black. My husband's neck has never been black. It was black from the back all the way to his chest. He had scratches from his shoulder down to his arm. You can see where the cuffs were so tight that they dug into his wrist. He has cuts, and they're still clotted up on both his wrists.
Prison officials tell a different story. Thomas Maley, a spokesperson for state corrections, says cameras indicate Watson was the one who assaulted a captain. Maley said in a statement, quote, following the incident, while in the shower, Mr. Watson assaulted a member of the National Guard. State officials also say Watson was not denied medical care. On a recent visit, Kimberly Watson held up this sign to protest the treatment of her husband, who she says is being targeted not only for his grievances, but because he is a practicing Muslim. Watson is up for release next year. His wife says he needs a transfer out of Wendy and hopes to serve his time with dignity and the basic rights to which he is entitled.
I'm just hoping this gets some attention. Somebody out there that has compassion, that wants to reach out and help, get my husband home, get him to another facility, make some noise, let Wendy know that this is not going to be swept under the rug.
Now, as for what happens next, you heard from the spokesman from New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision saying that there is body camera footage of this incident. We have already requested that body camera footage through the state's Freedom of Information law. On your side in Buffalo, Charlie Speck, Channel 2 News.